Hi guys, this is Amna. I'm back with another live streaming, and I'm so happy to be connected again. So I hope you guys are doing amazing with your loved ones and families out there. So today I am with another one of my great friends and a great LinkedIn connection we got into. She is Brittney Swan, joining me from all the way California, USA. We would be talking a lot of things about interview coaching, interview preparation, and how it is so much like important to be care of yourself and then be at interview. So we would be talking a lot of things about tips, techniques, the ways, and the red flags of the interview, so that it is again super beneficial for everyone out there. Either you are a job seeker or a professional who are looking for the next opportunity. So I will be inviting her in a couple of minutes. I'm so happy for that. Before that, I just want to thank you, all of you guys, for the great support at my LinkedIn network, my LinkedIn community, and at my YouTube channel, which I have started back in like August 2020. So I'm looking forward for all your support. Thank you so much. Okay, so before moving further, I just want you to just let me know that from where you guys are joining in, and just tell me your greetings and how are you doing, so that I will again appreciate you at the same time. Before moving further, I will invite my friend Brittney. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you? Good to see you.
Same here. Amazing, and thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yes. So again, like we were just talking backstage also, interview, coaching, training, practicing. So how about it? What do you feel, being a interview coach and a consultant with having the years of experience in this industry? What would you like to tell?
Well, for me, it's very adaptive. I deal with many different personalities, many different mental behaviors. So, knowing that as an interview coach is really important to help people formulate their insecurities or help funnel their thought processes more efficiently. There's a lot of people that don't realize that some of their good answers are good answers, just not for interviews. And sometimes they can bring up red flags to the person that's interviewing. So, sometimes depending on industry, you will see people asking uncomfortable questions to see if they can jar you, to see how well you will speak in front of C-suite level executives, all those types of things. So it's really important to really gauge the client's personality and how they're going to absorb the information from me. And that's basically my job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like again, like so much important to prepare yourself, practice, like before an interview. I mean, some people um, might be thinking that, oh, it's a piece of a cake. We just have to dress up and just appear in. So what actually an interview coach like do with a client or a candidate, and how interview coaches and a trainer can help in the job search?
Well, as far as how I help is I love when I've had someone that's had just a horrible interview, because that's where they literally just open up to me and they're like, these are all of my demons. These are all of the things I'm worried about. I didn't answer these questions, correctly. This is where I started to get nervous. So for me, it's really my job to, when people don't tell me that or they're too embarrassed to tell me those things, I bring it out of them, yank it out of them. And if I need to be very stern and act like I'm interviewing them right then and there, then I have to. But if they need more of like a blanket of like, it's okay, you have to remember that half these people want to drink on the weekend. They want to see their families too, their people. You're literally interviewing with someone like me. It's okay. It's okay.
Again, being a human, we have to keep on learning, So, and an interview coach can help you this way. Like
Yeah.
that is super important. Okay, so just let's check in that who is joining us and from where. So just
Hey,
say
everybody.
hi. Sahol Abbas is there, and
Yes,
then we have
sir.
Yapat. Okay,
Kamar.
And then we have Kamar Hussain. Thank you very much for joining, guys. And all right. Okay, then we have Akhlaq Ahmad joining from Lahore. And we have, okay, from Saudi Arabia. Cool. Okay,
Wow.
guys, thank you very much. Kamar Hussain saying wonderful. Thank you very much for the, comment and the feedback. And again, now moving on, what type of interview coaching is there? I mean, when we think about, hey, go and take some interview coaching. So again, what we should be thinking, that what we should be learning there by
You should
interview.
be learning how to prep yourself for an interview. You should be learning what things that you should be focusing on and what is really just redundant information. Another thing is how you're presenting yourself, how slow you're speaking, how well you're answering the questions, and things that recruiters look for that you might not even realize. Um, and then, of course, how overall mental behaviors and how you should really be using, whatever programs you have, like the SMART program or the START program, where you answer it in a solution driven way of just like, this is how I start, this is how I finish, and this is the outcome. So with any questions, that should be your formula. And if there at any point you get stuck, or if there's a question where you're like, oh no, I don't have that background, giving 2 positives for every no. So those are things that your coach should really be working with you on pivoting and troubleshooting within the interview, but also doing it in a stress-free human way. No one during this is a bot. We're not robots. And honestly, the best hires that I've ever hired are people that I get along with during the interview, where I actually feel like I'm having a friend conversation and not like an interrogation.
Absolutely.
So if my clients can kind of just loosen up and have that conversation with me, I guarantee you it'll go a lot farther than very rigid, give me an answer, this is my duties, and I don't take no for an answer. I'm going to be like, oh, they might not get well with our team. They might quit, and then we're spending more money on hiring again. Like, those are all things I think about when it comes to personality.
Exactly. So that's the, again, number one thing we learn about, again, non-verbal communication. The way you loosen up your body, the overall
Yeah.
gesture, the way you sit down, and again, be comfortable. And you are absolutely right. The more people who are hired at the best are the more one having the, conversation, good conversation about your career, about your life, about your experiences, right? So that is
Yeah.
again very, very important, I must say, to understand, because most of the people are having back in the mind that there are so much judgmental, attitude from the employer side. So how about that?
There can be, especially in America in certain states like New York. I deal with New York all the time, and they're very high level executives, and they have a very brass way of speaking. So it's
Mhm.
very like, ba, 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 ba. And in California, it's more like, hey, dude, you got this stuff for me. So, knowing the market that
Mhm.
your client is interviewing in, knowing the industry is very
Mhm.
important. So finding your career coach that has a broad range of your background and not
Mhm.
just telling you things that are across the board, which is fine. But there should be key elements within your industry that you should be pointing out and talking to. But again, to your point, the behavior is more important than anything,
Yeah.
because if you don't come off coachable, if you don't come off like I could tell you, hey, you might have done this wrong at any point, you're not going to be my number one hire.
Right, like that. Absolutely. Okay, so we have again a new member joining us, Muhammad Mukarram.
Mohammed.
Thank you very much. And also, you guys are more than welcome to ask any type of, questions related to interview preparation, interview coaching, because Brittney would be giving a great insights, and you can learn a lot of things. Yeah. Okay, so moving on again, the huge part, doing your homework. So, what are the key tricks you can share with our audience, that how they would be researching about the company, how they would be doing this actually homework before the interview?
Finding a job is a job. And if
Mm.
you don't think it is, then you're casually looking. because there is a difference. So doing
Yeah.
your homework is very imperative, and it doesn't need to be crazy in depth, but at least checking out the website, at least seeing if they were bought out recently or gone through a merger and acquisition. Because when they ask you what was one of the reasons why you applied to the job, you could say, I was really impressed by the way that once you were bought out, how that your internal structures really kept strong. And
Mhm.
a lot of people aren't going to say that. They're not
Mhm.
going to do their homework to know that you were bought out, had mergers and acquisitions, and had to restructure. So that slight information will tell me that without me having to push you, you already went on your own
Mhm.
and got that information. You took the time to do that. And other people probably just tell me, "Oh, it seems like a cool job to work at," or "the atmosphere is great." But the person who said, like, "I noticed that you did this and this within your business," is going to blow me a little more away.
Yes, exactly. The interest basically. It will tell you that how much a candidate is interested to be a part of your company.
Yeah, the initiative alone,
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
people won't do it.
Yeah, so that's again very much important to know. Okay, so a comment from Yasser Yakut. Thanks,
Thank you,
Brittney Swan, for
Yuthia.
sharing. Yes, yes. And then we have Martina. Hello,
Hi,
Martina.
Martina. I always love that name. Martina.
Yeah, this sounds something else too.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on, you know, how you look like at interview. So is it a part of the interview coaching program? And being an interview coach and a trainer, they are telling people how to, again, dress up, or what are the, like techniques, or is it something really much like a strict, you have to follow one pattern of your dressing before you appear in the interview, or is it up to, again, a personal choice? What would you like to, tell us as a interview coach?
Well, as an interview coach, I would say the number one thing is to be comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be comfortable. If you're wearing a corset or something like tight pants and you're just sitting there and you're already uncomfortable, that's already a bad start. Get yourself as comfortable as possible. If you need, I'm not doing it, but if you are wearing a dress and need to put sweats under and you're do it, because you're going to be in a Zoom call and we're not going to funnel down because of COVID right now, especially in America. There's hardly anyone doing face-to-face interviews right now. It's all video chat or Teams video chat. So dress comfortable, but when you're doing the research of your company, if you are a lawyer, yes, you should probably be wearing a suit um, and dressing, to fit the bill of the position. But if you're applying for something like Amazon or Google, they're very reserved and laid back. In YouTube, and you can wear slacks and a t-shirt with a cardigan, and that's totally fine. Know exactly what kind of culture, ethics, and background your company harvests, because that brings it back to you too. If you don't want to be an uptight culture where you have to wear a suit every day, well, you shouldn't be applying to this job.
Exactly. That's again over here. We can get an idea by visiting the website also. Just to check
Yeah,
it out, how the people are there in the gallery section, or maybe a message from the CEO, how he has dressed up. Again, we can just
that's a good
know a
point.
background of it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's really good point, because even when you Google, or sorry, when you're on YouTube and you just Google like Google conferencing, you'll see how the entire group dresses, and it's very casual. And if you came up to a suit, everyone would be like, "Who's this guy? Like, is he from the press?"
Oh my God! Yeah, see, I mean, things are visible. We just have to understand. As a candidate, I'm talking about with the candidate perspective or job seeker perspective, to be able to understand the thing that how you should be dressing on the interview day. All right, that's cool.
Mhm.
Mhm. Okay, so another we got in Maria Siddiqui. Hi everyone. Thank you very much, Maria, for joining in. And again, I am just telling you guys, you can ask
Okay.
questions, or you can just leave us the comments, the feedback. Okay, so moving on, we will be talking about interview red flags.
My
That's it.
favorite.
Yes, and so much again important to learn and understand that what red flags or red lights can stop you by to be able to make a success an interview?
Red
So,
flags are literally the only reason why we interview.
hmm,
Is to see if this person is a good right for the position. And that's your time to not mess it up. We already called you. We already think you're qualified for the job. That's not what we're cementing what we think, but we're also gaining more information from you. So red flags would be if I asked you, for instance, this is a very common question in America, tell me a time where you may have disagreed with upper management. And there is a big difference between people that are just like, one time I got into an argument with my boss and I told him this and I ended up being right. And that's a red flag for me because it shows that conflict, you go right into it in a non-healthy way. Okay. And your approach obviously is not going to be very culture driven. So a lot of the time spending to make sure you don't upset people is not where we want to go with this. But, the people who answer this question of like, well, who hasn't? But it's all how you deal with the situation. And honestly, a lot of times when that's happened, I've actually learned a completely different side of the business. So it's important to keep an open mind. When I have more of those questions, I'm like, okay, this person gets it. They get team, they get individuality. I can coach to this person. So the other person is a completely red flag on the other end as far as like, I was right. I told this person, da, 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 versus the person that's like, well, everybody has that, but it's all in how you handle it. I'm going to be like, okay, this person has a little more common sense when it comes into work ethics.
Work ethics, exactly. And I just, and just blowing out everything in front of the employer about your past experience is not, no.
People do that all the time. It's just word vomit. And it's because they get so nervous that they feel obligated to tell things that honestly don't matter, even though they feel like they might matter in the moment. And it actually just makes you look bad because you want to say it so fast that you're kind of projecting it in a light that's not as professional or as articulate as you would want to. Yep. That is a huge red flag. Who is this?
Exactly. Or even there's a call for the interview and you just gather up your things and just be there. No preparation. That's again a huge red flag.
Yeah. Huge preparation.
Okay. Another major red flag which I was thinking and we have discussion on that if the candidate is unable to give their reference when later asked by the company. So how about that? What employers basically think of it or how it can be
if employers don't want to give me a reference, that's the ultimate red flag. They don't want me talking to people that they worked with, which is not normal. They usually even have, like, even if you don't have a huge executive to give me, you should have someone on your team that could just be like, she or he existed. Like, but when we do the background checks, well, in California, we can only ask like 3 questions, basically, which is like, did the person work there? What was their ending title? And are they rehirable? So we're not really allowed to ask salary at all, which is why we have to ask our candidates, what was your salary? But during that, if they tell me, no, they were not rehirable, and this person is not giving me a reference, they're not getting the job.
Okay.
There's no way they're going to get the job.
Okay, so when we say that in resumes, we don't have to again list down the references until asked. So when there is a time that employer is inquiring about your references, you should be able to represent 2 or 3 authentic references.
Yeah, 3 is the minimum usually. And if you really need a formula for that, it's usually professional, peer, and friend. If you are starting out like college, you might not have a lot of references. So friend or peers is okay, project peers, teachers, those types of things. But for actual adults in the job cycle, 3 minimum references. Make sure that there's one at least of management that I can speak to about your flow, your coaching style, your mental behavior, how well you get along with teams. But it's important that you bring those to the board because I'm not usually allowed to ask those things to your past employers.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. So again, it's like again, what I think is again huge for to understand about the references because most of the people get confused. Oh, who would be the one to speak about myself in a good way, basically.
Yeah.
So this is again, there's a fine line to be able to understand that who can be your authentic reference and can endorse you for the
Yeah.
particular specific job.
We
Okay.
really want management references as much as possible. But to your point on the resume, I don't ever put references on the resume. It takes up way too much real estate space. Keep it for things that are going to make you qualified for the job. We'll either ask for your references or we won't. Don't leave it for something optional.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the way we design the resumes part. Yeah. Okay. Now again, very much like interesting thing in interview that a person is like, oh, I swear to God, I can do this work. I guarantee you that I can perform this duty. How about it? If someone says, we should say or shouldn't say.
There's a difference between coming off very driven and coming off uneducatingly begging. So if you're going like, I swear I can do this, that's usually people who haven't established themselves. Say people who more established themselves say, I've had successes with this, which shows that this would actually be a very easy transition for me based on X, Y, and Z. Like facts. I've had people accidentally swear during the interview. And yes, it's been like, but that actually shows me one thing. One, they're either really uncomfortable with the position and how we're speaking, or two, they're just nervous as hell and everything is just coming out. And I've been doing this for 17 years. So that's not an automatic no for me.
Okay.
But it could be a red flag if I'm going to have them in front of a large group, if they're not working by themselves, if it's not remote. Those are all things that I have to think about. So for the candidate, they might be like, I didn't get the job because I swore. But in my head, I'm going, okay, they didn't get the job because these things and they swear in front of people. So it's not one thing. It's never one thing.
Okay.
Unless you're a jerk.
It depends. Yeah, it depends totally. What's going on with the candidate and the employer, back in the minds also. But what one thing you can advise over here that a candidate like should be enough like positive or comfortable in a sense that in conveying answers, or again the swearing part, or just showing the guarantee that yes sir I can just do this work.
Just be yourself.
Just
be yourself. And I know that's like eye rolling, and it's just like people like some people might not think that's real advice, but honestly, the people that I can't fully connect with during the interview, I can't see their personality, it's going to be harder for me to want to invest the company's money in their hire. If I know that they can get it well with the team, but I'm going to have to teach them a couple of things, that's fine. I rather have someone who is going to be very dedicated that I might have to spend a little money on, teaching them things versus someone who knows everything and is not going to get along with the team, who isn't going to be taking my coaching advice to things that they might not be doing. So your personality will take you a lot farther than your qualifications, more than you think.
Exactly. And again, the way you be there actually speaks a lot of things about you.
Make them laugh. That will break the ice. Like my favorite thing is when people say, what is your biggest weakness? Say interviews, because they will just start laughing. Like just be like, right here, interviews right here. How am I doing? Like, and yeah, it will just be like, it's an answer. You're being very candid. You're saying I'm uncomfortable, but this is, it's funny. Like and you're not doing any harm. And it will show the interviewer of like, okay, maybe I should relax too.
Oh, yes.
So, because if I'm making them that nervous, obviously everyone's nervous before an interview, but if I'm making them super nervous and I might not realize that, it's my job to also make this person comfortable as well, because it is a give and take process, guys. It is not just this person's interviewing you and you have to take the job. Like at any point you are seeing red flags yourself, it is okay to leave an interview. It is okay to say, you know what, I'm no longer wasting your time. I don't think our ethics align, but I really appreciate everything that you've done so far. Peace
Oh
out.
wow, this is something really coming natural, Brittney. I mean, seriously, like people should be learning this.
Yeah.
To be able to again say yes for ourselves what is right. So are we into it? Then go further, and then or maybe leave the room or the
If
space.
they are completely treating you lesser than, if you're feeling like this person is treating you like, why do you want to work here? Like totally just this very rude atmosphere, and you do not want to work for this type of person, it is totally okay to say, you know what, this is not a right fit for me either, and I'm not going to waste your time. Thank you very much. And that will tell the interviewer one thing of like, oh my gosh, what did I do during this interview to like get this candidate to leave? But also it will make you way more confident in the next interview.
Exactly. And the
After you
story.
leave, you're going to be shaking, but the next interview, you got it.
Exactly. And this all starts when you are searching about the company. That's the beginning, actually. That's why it's important, again, to know about the company, the culture, the website. The preparation part can help you again.
And that's why you shouldn't apply to 50 jobs all at once either, because if you do get callbacks, you're going to be left red-handed. You're not going to know anything about the company. If they ask you like, "Oh, I got your application. Thank you so much. Why did you apply for us?" And you're going to be like, I don't know. I just answered the phone."
No, you did. You did. Okay, so we have Rabia Omar. She says, awesome. Thank you very much, Rabia, for joining in and watching us. Okay, so Yasser Liaquat says that thanks, Amna, for putting important questions and also your suggestions. Really enjoyed company, both of you. Thank you very much. Brittney Swan, thanks for sharing your thoughts.
You're welcome. I try, guys. I try to like really put the human back in this stuff, because some people think like you're interviewing with someone of law enforcement. Or
Yeah.
I'm like, you're
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, to make it like more with a humane touch, not like a robot touch, robot stuff like that. Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, we all are humans. Just
They
like
won't
we have
give me real answers if I act like a robot. They'll give me robotic answers.
absolutely, and this really happens too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you are there. We are there to guide people. Okay, so again, how about first impression, which really matters when you enter in the room?
It does. Like I kind of know within the first 5 minutes if this person's going to be a hire. And that people ask me, okay, but then what about the questions? It's the questions that will turn my first impression around, but the first impressions will always be there. I had someone show up in a Budweiser t-shirt and jeans one time, and I was like, I'm not going to hire this girl. And I was actually offended that she showed up to the interview in a beer t-shirt. And once I started talking to her and figuring things out, I actually found out that morning her mom died and she still needed the job and she didn't want to tell us, and she came right from the hospital. And I was like, first of all, your mom died. Like, we can reschedule. But, her being young and realizing like, I'm going to get in trouble here, I'm going to get in trouble here. Like she didn't even fathom that it's just an interview. Reschedule, tell them what happened. Like it's boggles my mind that people don't think that real life stuff happens. And after speaking to her, I hired that girl in the beer t-shirt because one, she had a crazy background. She was amazing when she was speaking to me. And I know for a fact she could have done the job. And after I hired her, within the first 6 months, she was promoted.
Whoa.
Yeah, she was amazing. But, that first impression, I was like, hell no. But during the interview process, it completely swatched for me. So yes, first impressions matter, but it's not the stamp. It's not the final, like, no.
Okay.
She was amazing. I still talk to her. I still laugh at that t-shirt. Like, remember when you wore that beard t-shirt?
So you guys, remember, yeah. So
Yeah.
it happens, that's why, first impression, like it does matter. Like for most of the people, it's like, that's the final one. If we couldn't be there, things can change or things can be in a rejection form, like that. Some people have these type of stresses also related
Yeah.
to first impressions, basically. Okay,
Curious.
that's
You have to keep a curious, open mind for growth. And what I see a lot of recruiters doing is they think they're the big honcho because they have these people that are interviewing for them.
mhm.
And that's honestly the people I don't hire because a growth mindset is one that's curious. And usually the people that are the most curious are quiet when people speaking, which means they're absorbing information and learning.
Mhm, mhm.
So it's just learn, just absorb. Take the bad interview with like, okay, how did I answer these questions? Why did I answer the questions that way? And how could I answer them next time? And just don't beat yourself up over it. You're gonna have a bad interview at some time in your life.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Even like, when we were, talking about this topic, the same thing. I've been also, learning. I still remember the days or the interview, how I appeared, well, I'm on a
Right.
stage, and
At,
that,
at
foolish,
3 in the morning when you're trying to sleep, oh, I should have answered that way. Yeah.
So, and now, we learned a lot, we understood, we observed things. So here we are. So again, every job seeker professional can do it too, like that. So that's so much like, again, awesome coming from your side. Okay, so my mom is there and she is saying, Amna, your guest is very interesting.
Thank you. I try. I'm a little quirky. That's okay.
All right, so this is amazing. We had a great time, discussing about very much like important topics and techniques, and I hope this can, again, be helpful for you job seekers, professionals, and whoever is looking for their opportunity and he wants to sit in front of the employer and just try to convince them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time and being at my show and sharing the great insights. What would be your message to the job seeker, the professionals?
My job tip is out of everything that we gave out to you, show your personality and just relax as much as possible. You'll notice that high executives talk very slow in their communication. It actually represents strength.
Mhm.
Talk slow, put on a smile, and it will take you a lot farther.
Absolutely, exactly. And with that positivity, we would be winding up this program. I again
Mhm.
thank you very much for joining me. Thank you guys for watching this streaming, and I hope it will be beneficial for you all. And leave me the comments and the feedback that what type
Yeah.
of other topics you want to learn. And you are more and more welcome to join Brittney Swan, and you can get the website and her LinkedIn connection link with that streaming. I just linked down, and you guys can connect to her. Any type of assistance you are requiring from her, she is like more than welcome to help everyone, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for
Bye,
joining.
guys. Thank
Talk to you
you.
again. Thank you very much.